The takeover of Afghanistan by Taliban has prompted hundreds of Afghans to rush to Kabul airport in an effort to flee the wrath of Taliban. All eyes are on the world community and who is doing what to support Afghanistan. Islamic countries are also closely observing the volatile situation in the region. While some of them have taken a stand on Taliban and have agreed to accept Afghan refugees, some have maintained silence over the contentious issue. Turkey has blatantly refused to accept Afghan refugees. It continues to shore up defenses on the border areas in order to stop them from entering. They have built a 300-kilometer wall on the border area shared with Iran as Afghans continue to flee Afghanistan. The Turkish president has warned that Turkey will not become Europe refugee warhouse. However, remember that Turkey has expressed its intention to protect Hamid Karzai International Airport even after the withdrawal of US forces from Afghanistan. Apart from being an overcrowded hangar for US nationals and Afghan refugees before they move to a third country, Qatar has intended to house Afghan refugees. Qatar has said that it would take in at least 8,000 refugees. Some have already started to settle in houses allotted by the authorities. Qatar has said that more than 7,000 people have been evacuated from Afghanistan to the Gulf of Emirates so far. Another country will be hosting Afghan refugees on the request of United States. The United Arab Emirates has agreed to host 5,000 Afghan nationals to be evacuated for 10 days on their way to a third country. The UAE has so far facilitated the evacuation of 8,500 people from Afghanistan on its aircraft and through its airports. Pakistan, a country which is the immediate neighbor of Afghanistan, is keeping a close watch on the situation. Taliban fighters and Pakistani soldiers are now guarding the Torkham crossing side by side. Pakistan, worried about a fighting slipover, had shut its side of the border prior to Taliban's takeover. It was opened for trade later. It has also started reinforcing walls along its border. However, according to Pakistan's National Security Advisor, Pakistan is under no condition to accept more Afghan refugees. This as it has reached all limits. Remember, almost 3 million Afghan refugees, half of them unregistered, have been living in Pakistan for decades. According to Interior Ministry official Hossain Qasim, Iran has set up hundreds of tents in 3 regions bordering Afghanistan. An estimated 780,000 Afghan refugees currently live in Iran. According to the latest UN figures, Tehran has long argued that especially under US sanctions, it receives inadequate support for the 700,000 registered Afghan refugees it hosts. Now, Iran's Red Crescent confirmed that Iran's Interior Ministry and border guards were detaining Afghan refugees and passing them back across the border within a few hours from their arrival. And the Central Asian nation of Turkmenistan fears that an influx of refugees from Afghanistan could undermine domestic security. It has beefed up security, held military drills and moved more servicemen and weaponry to their borders with the war-torn nation in recent weeks.
What's going on, everybody? Safar Sadek here. Yeah, I know you all are probably glued to the news about what's going on over in Afghanistan, and everybody's talking about how Joe Biden fucked up and how this situation is such a debacle, and, you know, talking about his incompetency as a president and blah, blah, this and all that. Well, I told y'all a few videos back that all this was staged and all of this is serving a grander purpose than what you're seeing portrayed on the news. And I've also told y'all that you need to get unglued from what they're telling you on the news and get glued to what's been talked to about in the prophecies. But the reason why the majority of you, if you do take that route, you're not understanding it, because I've already explained to you all that you're going to have to come to certain people that were chosen to understand this stuff. And that's what brings us here, and that's what brings you here, because you know when you come on here, you know you're getting, you know, the proper breakdowns, and not like this European white supremacist Catholicism and Christianity that keeps you in the dark and does nothing but lie to you and keep you in deception and everything. I'm gonna tell you what it is, and this lesson is gonna be entitled ELAM in the Wind. And I'm gonna go over 2 maps before I actually get into the precepts. This first map you see here is the Persian Empire, and this is spoken about in the book of Daniel as well as some of the other books, and this is also known in secular history. Well, during the Persian Empire, which was ruled by the nation of ELAM, which is known as Iran today. I want you to look at this map of the western part, well, the eastern part of the world. The Persian Empire covered a great deal of that world. Primarily the most important areas over there, the Middle East. And if you look over towards the right, you'll see where it's grayed out at. The Persian Empire, or ELAM, also covered what's known today as Afghanistan and Pakistan. Just look to the right of the map there. And what a lot of people don't know is that when the Persian Empire took over this part of the world, because first it was the Assyrians, and then it was the Babylonians that pretty much had this empire. And then after them came the Medo-Persian Empire. And then after that, you know, the Seleucian and Greek Empire. And then after that, the Roman Empire, blah, blah, blah. Well, during the Persian Empire, Afghanistan and Pakistan was mostly from the seed of Elam, which we know today as Iran. That's who's mostly in these areas. And you have some Israelites in these areas as well too, and I'm gonna cover that when I get into the lesson. But I wanted to show you all this area of the world and give you a little geography and history, because they're not showing you this on the news. Remember what I keep telling you all, it's not what they're telling you that really matters, it's what they're not telling you. And that's what part of my work is to tell you what they're not telling you. The shit that they're leaving out that they know about. But they don't think you're important enough to know these things, so they conveniently leave it out. So it's important to know that the people in Afghanistan, for the most part, as well as Pakistan, and some of those other areas over there are of the seed of Elam. But the highest concentration of Elam is what we know today is Iran. All right, let's go to the next map. All right, in this map right here, after the fall of what was known as the Ottoman Empire at the end of the 19th century, going into the 20th century, that was over in the so-called Middle East, after the Ottoman Empire fell, Esau got together, and they couldn't wait, and came up with an agreement known as the Sykes-Picot Agreement. And I talked about this in several past videos, some of which are on BitChute. You're just gonna have to go on there and find out which ones. I don't remember right offhand. I ain't got time, I'm doing too much other things. But if you look at this map that went along with the Sykes-Picot Agreement, you'll see they're all over there in the Middle East. And this is something they came up with in 1916. And their grand plan was to, number one, after the Ottomans fell, to divide up what we know as the Middle East today, and how we recognize it today, as you see portrayed on this map. It was not like that before the 20th century. It's very important that you know that. The Middle East ain't always been that way. It didn't get that way till Esau went over there and did this shit. And then, because they teach their history in these learning institutions and schools and colleges and everything, they would have you believe that it was always this way. No, no, no. That's that old bullshit European white supremacist Catholicism and Christianity that even on this level got you all fucked up. With geography and history, they know this shit is a bunch of damn bullshit. They know. But this is Esau's vision of the Middle East, according to the Sykes-Picot Agreement. And if you look on here, you'll see how various nations of Esau had certain areas on here. You got the Italian control over the northern part of Syria and the southeastern part of Turkey. Well, I'm sorry, the southwestern part of Turkey, excuse me. And you got Russia control over that northern part over there, where the Caucasus Mountain and all that shit was, that part of the Middle East. Well, of course, because it's right there on their damn southern border. You got French influence over Syria and the northern part of Iraq. You got British control and influence over Jordan and the southern part of Iraq. And the eastern part of Iraq over there. And guess who you got controlling that little sliver of land right there that was once known as Israel? The international community. So that's what this was all about. They was going to let the Muslims have all these different territories over there under various Edomite control, but the international community was going to control what we know today as Israel. And it was an attempt to put those false-ass Zionist Jews, your Ashkenazi Jews, back over there in Palestine, and that way the international community would have a proxy in the Middle East in which to control world affairs. That's what this shit's all about. And this area right here that you see is the real promise that the Most High gave to Abraham. And I'm gonna show you a precept of that as I get into the lesson. But it's important you know about this history and this geography and everything, because they're not telling you this stuff. And then that way they know most people don't know what I just revealed to you. So when they go on the news and they give you their narrative, people just suck it up like a sponge. Nobody that goes behind these motherfuckers and do any research or anything like that. And they just swallow this shit hook, line, and sinker. And then you people wonder why you don't really know anything, because you don't go behind these people and check to see that they're lying to you and deceiving you. This is very important history and everything. The Middle East didn't look like this prior to the 1800s. No, it did not. This is Esau's doings as an attempt to put them fake Jews over there to control this area in an attempt to upset prophecy and keep us out of there, because they know that's our promised land. They know it. And so now that I've explained all that, now let's go into the lessons and find out what's really going on over in Afghanistan. All right, here we go. Elam in the wind. Let's look at Jeremiah chapter 49, and I'm going to read verses 36 through 39. And upon Elam, in this context, we're talking about Afghanistan, and I've already explained and showed that to you all. And upon Afghanistan, will I bring the four winds or spirits, and I'm going to explain that a little bit later, from the four quarters or four cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west of heaven, and will scatter them toward all those winds. And there shall be no nation whither the outcast or refugees of Afghanistan shall not come. And that was why I put that little presentation at the beginning. All these countries are now hosting the refugees of Afghanistan, even the United States. They've already done started showing up in Virginia over there. So this is prophecy being fulfilled, but if you don't know who's who and where's where, then you're never going to figure this stuff out. It's always going to be a mystery to you. It's always going to be a bunch of confusion. That's part of our job, as well as other things, is to take away all this deception and do away with the confusion. That way we can point you to the scriptures and the prophecies and show you why all this stuff's happening. These are not geopolitical affairs as they would have you believe. These are prophecies that they, under Satan, are carried out thinking that they're pushing their own agenda. Verse 37, for I will cause Afghanistan to be dismayed before their enemies and before them that seek their life. And I will bring evil upon them, even my fierce anger, said the higher. And I will send the sword, military destruction, after them till I have consumed them. And see, that's what this Taliban represents. I told y'all, every nation that ever had anything to do with messing with Israel somewhere in the past, this is the time that we're living in right now before Yeshua come back here to kick ass and take names. Every nation is going to be caused to mutually destroy each other for touching Israel. Yep, you let Esau get Confederate, persuade the Obadiah chapter 1 with these motherfuckers, and they all got together, and Esau was like, okay, y'all can have this part of the Middle East, y'all can have that part of the Middle East, y'all can have this part of the Middle East. We're going to prop up right here in Jerusalem and run the show from there. That's that confederacy that was talked about in Obadiah chapter 1 that I just showed you on a previous presentation about the Sykes-Picot Agreement. That's Obadiah 1 all together right there. Well, now the Most High is getting involved in it now. Because see, there's a debt that needs to be paid. We've already paid our debt, that 400-year ordeal. We've done that. So now, all you other nations are getting y'all's asses dealt with one by one. All of you ones that was in that Confederacy and all the rest of you that ever touched Israel. Most High is busting y'all's asses. And you're not going to get out of it. And see, Esau and them know this, but they don't want to come out and say it because they don't want to look embarrassed like they've lost control, which they have. But no, they're going to try to maintain the narrative about all this shit to the bitter end. Because that's just how proud they are. They will not fucking humble themselves and just admit that they fucked up and that they deserve what they get. They're not going to do it. All right, verse 38. And I will set my throne rulership in Elam, Afghanistan, and will destroy from thence the king and the princes. Right now, that's the Taliban, said the higher. And see, those of you that don't know, the Taliban was funded, trained, and armed by the CIA. Yes, they were. You go do your research and you'll find that out. And just another attempt for Esau to get his grimy hands over there and get more control than he already had. But see, Esau's time is up. So now the Most High is foiling all their plans and he's turning ass up. And he's going to cause the mutual destruction of them and everybody else over there in preparation for us to get over there. He got the clean house to get all them heathens out of there because don't none of them belong in there. Esau put the Middle East together like it is right now. Don't none of them people belong in none of that shit. That's Esau's doing. The Most High get ready to undo it, whether they like it or not, making preparation for us to get over there. That's what this is all about. Verse 39. But it shall come to pass in the latter days, our days, we're witnessing and experiencing right now, that I will bring again or disannul the captivity of Elam, Afghanistan, said the higher. And I'm going to show you here in a second just how he's going to do that. So even though right now all those people in Afghanistan have been, hosted in all these other countries and everything, it's for a reason. They're being taken out of there, number one, for their own safety, and number two, you're going to see that they're going to be brought back over there, and I'm going to show you why. It's all in the prophecies, baby. But, European white supremacists, Catholicism and Christianity can never break this stuff down properly because it wasn't given to them. They've had their time. Time's up. That's why all this shit going on with this so-called pandemic and them telling you to do this and all this and everything, and they can't hold true on their promise. Why? That's the Most High fucking all that up. They're not going to hold true on their promise because they're no longer in power. They've been systematically taken out. All right. Let's look at Isaiah chapter 11, and I'm going to read verses 11 through 12. Now, this is our immediate future was getting ready to happen after all that shit over there gets taken care of and resolved in the Middle East. And it shall come to pass in that day that Ahiah shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, the Israelites, which shall be left from Assyria, the Middle East, because the Israelites are all over there too. They ain't just over here. You got a lot of the 10 tribes still over there. Yeah, but a lot of these Hebrew Israelites don't want to teach you that. A whole lot of the 10 tribes are still over there, and some of the Judah is over there. And from Egypt and from Patros, which is a part of Egypt. Yep, you got Israelites down there too. And from Cush, which is today certain parts of Ethiopia, Somalia, Sudan, and Eritrea. Yep, you got Israelites all over there in the eastern parts of Africa. And from Elam, you got some in Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. And from Shinar. And Shinar in the scriptures is both talking about the land over there where Iraq is today, where the original Babylon is, as well as over here in America, which is known as the daughter of Babylon. Well, guess what? A lot of those Afghans are over here. And then a lot of these other places I just mentioned, they done been driven all over the places, all over there. I saw a video of this woman was talking about how, Uganda and a lot of them other countries down there are hosting people from Afghanistan. See, man, when you know who's who and where's where, and you have been chosen by the Spirit of a higher to break this stuff down, they can't lie to you and deceive you about nothing. All you gotta do is go in the scriptures and see this stuff as clear as day, and then go back on there and be like, lie, 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 some truth, lie, maybe truth, lie. So yeah, the Most High, when he started gathering his people, that's why you've been spread out. You've been kept in what's kind of what they call like protective custody. You've been taken out of the way for your own safety so that the destruction could come through there and get the rest of them people out of there that don't belong there, that the Sykes-Picot agreement put in there, get them out of there. And eventually, nuclear World War III is going to get the rest of them out of there, because they're not going to go willingly, so their asses got to get burnt out. And not only is that going to get them out of there, but it's also going to set the place up so that it can blossom like the Garden of Eden, like it talks about in the scriptures. Down here in the South, I remember right before these farmers would grow crops and everything, they would set these huge fires and burn all this damn undergrowth and brush and everything, get rid of all the snakes and ticks and gnats and flies and everything else that was undesirable. Burn all that damn shit up and get rid of it, and then plow all that stuff under and everything, and it would actually make good nutrients for the soil for when they sowed their crops and everything. That's what's getting ready to happen in the Middle East. That nuclear thermal fire is gonna burn all them motherfuckers out of there and get all that underbrush and pest and everything else from over there that don't belong there, the Esau planet there, get all that out of there so that we can get transferred from everywhere where we are now back over there, where we supposed to be. Time's up. We're in a Jubilee cycle. During the Jubilee cycle, one of the things is everybody has to go back to their land of nativity. And that's what's going on that they're not telling you. And the church damn sure ain't telling you, because most of them don't know. If they do, they ain't gonna tell your ass. Verse 12, and from Hamath, Syria, yep, you got Israelites up there, and from the islands of the Mediterranean Sea, and Cyprus being one of the main ones. There's some of the other ones that got Israelites, but there's a large concentration of Israelites in Cyprus, which is in the eastern part of the Mediterranean Sea. I've been all over the place over there, so I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Verse 12, and he shall set up an ensign, which is going to happen here pretty soon, 3 days and 3 nights of darkness. And I've already done covered that in past videos. Go back and watch it in the playlist and find it, and I go into detail about that. For the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel, the northern 10 tribes, and gather together the dispersed of Judah, Benjamin and Levi, from the 4 corners or cardinal directions, north, south, east, west of the earth. And that's Isaiah chapter 11, verses 11 through 12. So what's happening is the Most High is playing like a 3-card Monte game, shuffling all the important pieces and moving certain pieces out of the way to wipe that board clean so he can reestablish them and put everything back in the order that he wants it to be put in. He don't care about Esau, and he's done with y'all. He don't give a shit about y'all no more. He done pimped y'all like a $2 hoe. Babylon, he don't need Babylon no more. He done pimped this bitch like a $2 hoe. Now he get ready to have all this shit wiped off, and all that bullshit going over there in the Middle East and everything, all this get ready to go too. He gonna have his way. Why? He created all this. This is his creation. You were just fortunate enough to be able to take part in it. So if you don't like the way things happen, well, you explain that to him when you go see him, because everybody gonna go see him. And I guarantee you, when you go see him, you ain't gonna be running your mouth like you think you are. You're gonna be standing there with your damn lips poked out, hoping he show mercy on you. That's how judgment's gonna be. Yeah, that's what's really going on. That's what's going on with Afghanistan. And anything else that pop off over there can be traced right back to these prophecies. All right, let's switch gears here, and I'm about done with this. Let's look at Revelation chapter 9, verses 13 through 21. I find this quite interesting. And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before Ahia. This is in the heavenly dimension, saying to the 6th angel, which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates, which is in Iraq. It goes right through Iraq. So does the Tigris River, both coming out of Turkey. Yep, and part of the old Babylon of Nimrod sank over there into that back in ancient times. You have to go in the book of Jasher and read about that. But yep, there were 4 angels that were bound in that river. Well, let's see what these angels are getting ready to do over there in the Middle East. Verse 15, and the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the third part of men. They're going to be the ones that cause that third world war, that nuclear war they're going to be responsible for that. Verse 16, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. That's a lot of motherfuckers. I ain't going to even try to figure that out. And I heard the number of them, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinth. I think jacinth is some type of mineral or something like that. And brimstone, which the people back in the day called sulfur. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. Damn. By these was the third part of men killed. Yeah, primarily over there in the Middle East, because that's where this shit's going to be released at. Right over there to cleanse this whole area out. Get these motherfuckers out of there. They don't belong there. Which issue out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents and had heads, and with them they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. People still gonna be into this damn idolatry, especially this fake ass Catholicism and Christianity. Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. That's Revelation chapter 9, verses 13 through 21. So, motherfuckers are gonna do what they want to do, no matter what happened. The Most High can come down here and appear before these people. They'll scream for a minute, turn right back around and do what they want to do. Israel's a primary example of that when we came out of Egypt the last time. Primary example. People don't fear the Most High, but they getting ready to, because he get ready to put some shit on these niggas' asses that ain't never happened before. You gonna fear him then. Hell, he already got a lot of y'all's asses by taking away your fun and causing Good Times Jesus not to help you out of the shit that you know, find yourselves in right now and everything. So he got a lot of y'all that way, but there's some that are just hard-headed. They're just gonna have to be absolutely destroyed before they even consider being afraid. That's just how far gone they are. They reprobate. Some of y'all are like that. All right. Now we're at the last one. 2nd Ezra chapter 9, verses 7 through 8. And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, judgments, destruction, and shall see my salvation in my land, the restored Middle East, after all this shit done happened, and within my borders. You read Genesis chapter 15, verse 18, it'll show you what the borders are. For I have sanctified or segregated them for me, a higher from the beginning. That's 2nd Ezra chapter 9, verses 7 through 8. So all you people from Afghanistan, if any of you happen to come on here and hear this or whatever, or anybody else is, you know, being displaced away from the people that you grew up with, that you know as your family, and you know, say that they love you and everything, the Most High has caused all this turmoil, just like Yeshaya talks about in Matthew chapter 10, starting at verse 34 and work your way down, where he said, I am come to set a man at variance. He didn't say how, but more and more you're starting to see how. Got people divided on every way possible, and the new thing they're using is this bullshit snake oil serum. And they're using, a lot of y'all have been separated from your families, you know, because of that. And I'm talking about these people are more separated on that issue than every other issue we've been separated on. The Most High is behind this. He's separating all those that are to be saved. So if you feel like you're the outcast and this, that, the other, and you're taking a stand against this shit, and you may not fully understand why, the Most High has his hand on you. That's why. And you make that stand. You hear me? You make that stand unto death. Do not take down and take that shit, because everybody else has done it. I get a lot of people just done took that shit out here on the streets, coming up to me and confessing not only that they did it, but you know, they regret that they've done it, because they're like, damn, man, you know, they made us these promises and that they was going to get us off the streets and this, that, and the other. So, you know, we took that because we really don't want to be out here, and look, we're still out here. I don't empathize with them at all, not one bit, because all this information is out on the internet, people. But people listen to that. Y'all have selective hearing, a great deal of you. You hear what you want to and disregard the rest of it and make dumbass decisions based on that. And then after the fact, when you finally realize you done fucked up, now you're looking for somebody to feel sorry for you. I'm not I'm not that guy. I'm not into sympathy and all this other shit. That's not my makeup. I ain't made that way, because I'm out here suffering and everything. I'm older than the majority of y'all. If I can do it, your ass can do it too. And them people in Afghanistan, the majority of them, they'll be all right. Because, hell, they wasn't living like y'all was over here. Shit, this is going to be a come-up for them. So I ain't studying none of them either. They'll be all right. The Most High separating them because a lot of them are Israelites. Yeah, you got some heathens mixed in with them and everything. But he know what he doing. He made sure them angels got them Israelites out of there, the ones that were to be saved. You can bet your ass on that. And anything else to go on over there. There's a great separation going on right now before the great gathering. You got to take all the people that are to be saved out of all this shit and get you out of the bullshit that you know and are familiar with and were once attached to. You got to you got to cut the umbilical cord from that shit, because it no longer serves you. And yeah, there's going to be a period of loneliness, discomfort, inconvenience, and all this other stuff. So what? You'll get over it. You'll be all right. Learn how to endure hardness as a soldier. You're going to be all right. As long as you stay the course and don't believe nothing that these people tell you. They make you any promises, tell them, no thank you, I don't need it. Because they're not going to keep their promise. They're not. They historically break promises. So don't let them make one of you and cause you to do something that you're going to regret for eternity. Don't do it. So that's what's really going on about the situation in Afghanistan. All right, I'm done.